Senator John Kennedy pressed Attorney General Pam Bondi in a way that had the whole room holding its breath.
Secretary Howard Lutnick on October 1 gave an interview to the New York Post about Mr. Epstein. And he described Mr. Epstein as, quote, the greatest blackmailer ever, close quote. Have you reviewed that transcript of that interview?
I have not reviewed the transcript, but I saw the clip of it.
Okay. It appears that Secretary Lutnick was Mr. Epstein's next door neighbor. In fact, their townhomes shared a wall. And the reporter that was talking to Mr. Lutnick, she asked how other prominent men could have been associated with Epstein when Mr. Lutnick could immediately sense that he was a, quote, pervert. And then Secretary Lutnick said, or rather the reporter said, did they see it and ignore it? Do you remember that from the interview?
I do.
And Commerce Secretary Lutnick said, no, they participated. And then Commerce Secretary Lutnick goes on to say, quote, that's what his MO was. You know, get a massage. And what happened in that massage room, I assume, was a video. This guy was the greatest blackmailer ever, blackmailed people. That's how he had money, end quote. Is that true?
Senator, as our July memo said, we did not uncover evidence. This case has gone through 3 administrations, as well as former U.S. Attorney Alex Acosta.
I know that, Pam. But have you interviewed Secretary Lutnick?
No, Senator.
Do you plan to?
If he wants to talk to the FBI or the FBI wants to talk to him, that is more than on.
Don't you think you ought to talk to him after this interview?
Senator, if Howard Lutnick wants to speak to the FBI and if Director Patel wants to speak to Howard Lutnick, absolutely.
Okay. Maybe we ought to get Mr. Lutnick in here too, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Booker.
So Senator Kennedy opens this part of the hearing with a pretty explosive reference, an interview Secretary Howard Lutnick gave to the New York Post earlier this year. According to Kennedy, Lutnick didn't just casually talk about Epstein. He called him the greatest blackmailer ever. That's not a soft accusation. That's a whole allegation wrapped in gasoline with a match right next to it. Kennedy lays out that Lutnick and Epstein weren't strangers. They were literal neighbors. Their homes shared a wall. And in that interview, the reporter asked Lutnick the question everyone's been asking for years. How did so many powerful, high-profile men get tangled up with Epstein? How did no one recognize the danger? And Lutnick's answer, he said they didn't just ignore it, they participated. That right there is the moment the entire tone of the hearing shifts, because Kennedy isn't quoting rumors. He's quoting a cabinet secretary. Then Kennedy brings up another bombshell part of the interview. Lutnick talks about Epstein's MO, the massages, the rooms, the cameras. He describes it like a routine. Get a massage, and whatever happened in that room, I assume was a video. His words, not the senator's. So Kennedy asks Bondi directly, is that true? And Bondi gives a very careful, controlled answer. She points to the department's July memo, saying that across 3 administrations, including the Acosta era, investigators have not uncovered evidence proving Epstein was running a blackmail operation. It's the kind of answer you give when you're trying to stick to documented fact, not speculation. But Kennedy does not let go. He asks her if she's even interviewed Lutnick. Bondi, no, Senator. Kennedy, do you plan to? Bondi answers with institutional language, basically. If he wants to talk to the FBI, that's up to him and Director Patel. But what Kennedy is really asking is simple. If a cabinet secretary says he believes Epstein blackmailed powerful men, why hasn't the department taken the initiative to speak to him? And that question lands hard, because whether you're on the left or right, this is the one part of the Epstein story that still smells wrong. People with firsthand insight haven't been fully tapped. People with proximity haven't been fully questioned. And people with information are still sitting outside the investigative circle. Kennedy finishes with the line that sticks. Maybe we ought to get Mr. Lutnick in here too. That is not said lightly. When a senator publicly suggests bringing in a sitting cabinet secretary to testify about what he knows, or what he thinks he knows, that means something wasn't adding up for him in real time. So what do we walk away with after watching this exchange? First, this hearing shines a spotlight on one of the biggest unanswered questions around the Epstein case. How much did people around him know, and how much did they ignore? Lutnick's description doesn't come from rumor mills or conspiracy blogs. This is from a man who lived next door and interacted with Epstein in the real world, not the sanitized, posthumous version the public gets. Second, Bondi's answers, while by the book, highlight a deeper institutional problem. Federal agencies often say, "We didn't find evidence," but that only raises another question. Did they look everywhere they needed to look? It's not about attacking Bondi. It's about holding the system accountable. Third, Senator Kennedy points to something a lot of Americans feel regardless of party. There are powerful circles in this country that operate with a level of protection most people will never experience. Epstein didn't move through society like a normal criminal. He glided through elite spaces that should have rejected him, yet didn't. And the idea that he may have used leverage, real or perceived, on those same circles shouldn't be dismissed without full investigation. This is why Kennedy's push matters. Interviewing Lutnick isn't optional, it's basic due diligence. If a man with high-level access, first-hand observation, and insider proximity is openly saying Epstein was blackmailing people, the FBI shouldn't be waiting for him to volunteer a meeting. They should be clearing a chair for him immediately. Finally, and this is the important part, moments like this hearing remind us why public accountability is necessary. Government agencies don't always chase the whole truth unless Congress forces the issue. And whether you're left-leaning or right-leaning, everyone should want the same outcome here. No loose ends, no protected elites, no stone unturned. So yeah, if Senator Kennedy wants Lutnick in that hearing room, he's not wrong. We deserve clarity. We deserve transparency. And the victims deserve answers that aren't filtered through political caution or bureaucratic hesitation. If you made it this far, let me know what you think in the comments. Should Lutnick be subpoenaed? Should the investigation open a new branch? Drop your thoughts below. And if you haven't already, hit like, hit subscribe, and stick around, we're just getting started.